Hello, hi. Welcome everyone. For those of you who have never met me, my name is Elsie. So I decided that it would be best to put this information here where everyone can have access to it, and so that for future purposes and for other people who are coming, who are not here right now but who will join us later, so it will be easy to share the information. First, let me make a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a pharmacist, I'm not a medical person in any way at all. Not at all in any way. What I am is a writer, a woman, and somebody who is very interested in what happens to her and with her body. So what's going to happen is I'm going to make a series of videos, and I'm deliberately storing them here. Like I said, it's easier to share if it's in this kind of space. So I'm going to make a series of videos, and I'm going to be talking about, I'll be telling my own story, how I encountered some of these things and how I overcame them. Then I'll share with you information which is easily available on the internet, and I'll also share what got me interested in the first place. I mentioned it before that I'm a writer, so I've written, in one of my books, I wrote a bit extensively using fiction. I wrote about this subject matter, so that time I had to do quite a lot of research. But before then, I first heard about menopause when I was a teenager. Actually, I think that was 1986 thereabout, or 85 or 86. I was a teenager, and my mom was going through menopause at that time, and my mom and I were quite close, so there were a lot of things she used to feel comfortable discussing with me. And on one of those days, she brought up the subject of how she was feeling, and we started to talk about it. We started to discuss. It was something that she found very upsetting. It wasn't funny, it wasn't comfortable. So when we discussed it, after we shared, I mean, like I said, it was 85 or 86. I'm not quite sure which of, but it was either of those years. There was no internet, but I used to read a lot. So I went to research. I started reading about it, reading medical books, trying to find out everything I could about it. So I kind of was put on alert. At the back of my mind, I was like, okay, if this is what this is, and if it's happening to my mom, it means that sometime in the future, it would also happen to me. So I need to be ready. I need to be prepared. But I can tell you right now that when menopause came calling, I wasn't quite ready. I had forgotten everything I had read and all of that. And so a lot of things started to happen to me, which I thought I had prepared for, but which, well, I still wasn't quite as prepared as I thought. So what is menopause? First, let's read the general information, which anybody can verify. I actually got what I'm about to share with you from the internet. Menopause, simply put, is the end of a woman's menstrual cycle. We all are women. We all have menstrual cycles. We know how it is. We know how some of us it's painful, some it's painless, whatever it is. But we've all gone through, or we are all going through. We all have a menstrual cycle, in short. It says the term can describe any of the changes you go through just before or after you stop having your periods. So if you don't already know, a time is going to come when the monthly flow will stop. It's not forever. Nothing lasts forever. It will stop. Now, women are born with all of their eggs. We all have ovaries, and we all have eggs inside of them, and those eggs are the things that turn into the beautiful babies we have. The ovaries also make something called estrogen, which is a hormone. Okay, as it releases the egg, there's something called estrogen, and there's another hormone called progesterone, and these are the things which control menstruation and control ovulation. Okay, now menopause happens when the ovaries no longer release eggs every month, Because what causes the menstrual cycle, I'm sure we all know this, but I mean just for information's sake, what causes the menstrual cycle is when an egg is released every month, the uterus, the womb, prepares to get pregnant, okay, prepares to receive a baby. When fertilization occurs, pregnancy occurs, and then you have a baby, or you get pregnant and then you have a baby. Now, whether fertilization occurs or not, if that egg is not implanted in the lining of the uterus, it peels off. The lining of the uterus peels off, which had prepared, so it peels off and it expels the preparation it had made along with the egg and some bleeding. So that's what menstruation is. So menopause is when all of that process stops. When it stops and you can't produce eggs anymore, you can't have babies anymore. That was the state Sarah was in. That's why it was a wonder for her when the angel of the Lord said she was going to have a baby. Okay, so now at what age does menopause happen? So actually it varies from woman to woman. Depends on a lot of factors, biology, geography, a lot of things, even your ethnicity. There are some ethnic groups that they say going to menopause earlier than others. But usually menopausal transition begins from around the age of 45. For most people, from around the age of 45. Now, there have been cases of people who have gone into early menopause. I know of a lady who started menopause at age 37. They say her menopausal transition began at age 37. So it depends on individuals, but generally between the ages of 45 to 55. And yes, you heard me right. Generally between the ages of 45 to 55. Meaning that menopause is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, and it's quite a long process. It takes, on the average, it takes about 7 years for all of the symptoms to come and go, for the whole process to end. So from the time when you start experiencing symptoms of menopause till when you are free, you totally don't feel anything anymore, usually takes about 7 years. For some people, it can take 10 years. For some people, 10 or even 15 years. So again, it depends. It varies. There are some things you can do to make the journey easier for you, but generally, that is what happens. It's not an overnight process. It's never an overnight process. Are there people who never have any symptoms? Possibly there. It's possible. I've never heard of any. I've never seen anyone. I think for some people, the symptoms are more severe than for others. And again, your lifestyle sometimes has a lot to do with the severity or otherwise of your symptoms. So if you've okay, we'll talk about that. I mean, in this video is just basically the introduction. So that's what menopause is. That period when your body begins to shut down, when the body begins not shut down, but when that whole process of the body returning to the stage before you started having periods. Let me put it that way. So there are 3 stages. There's a transitional stage, which is usually known as perimenopause or premenopause, and then there's the menopause itself, and then there's postmenopause. And each period comes with all kinds of challenges, different challenges, and all of that. So we're going to look at the things that happen at each of these stages. Perimenopause is the time leading up to the menopause. It describes the time when the hormones begin to decline. They begin to reduce in quantity, if you like. It's like a little bottle. There's no bottle on my table. Okay, yeah. Maybe like something like this, and it's like it's being poured out gently. Not that anything is pouring out, but and such times you may see some of the symptoms you may see may include things like erratic periods, like you see a period now and then you don't see it again for another 3 months. Sometimes you think you're pregnant and then it comes again. Or sometimes if you had if your period used to last 5 days, it could come and then to be 2 days or 3 days or 6 days. You could have 3 days this month and then the next month is even 8 days or something like that. Sometimes you could have very little bleeding, or extensive bleeding. So that's perimenopause. The body is reducing, the hormones are reducing, and things are going down. So because I don't want these videos to be too long, I'm going to end this one now, and then I will do another one where we'll talk about the menopause stage itself, and then we'll talk about post-menopause, and then we'll get to all the interesting stuff, which is why we're actually here, about what it does to your body, how you can manage it, how you can cope, how you can overcome it. So I would expect that you comment. You can share it, of course, to other ladies who are not on the group, and you can ask any questions. If I don't answer immediately, I will answer, and if you ask something that I do not know, because I don't know everything, I will ask those who know it. I'll research it. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.